going to take place. So I've been a really big advocate of that. I think if it happens in California, it can happen with everyone around the country. That's just my belief, right? So I bring this up because America just announced, and I'm only going to talk about this real quickly, but America just announced that they're going to give 775 million more dollars to military aid for Ukraine, right? I'm only making this point to let everybody know the money is there, family. Quit DMing me about reparations. How dare you, black folks? Like, shit. I understand. Sometimes if I'm talking about a racialized situation and the politics behind it and all that, sometimes you may not agree with that as somebody black. You may say, hey, I see it that way. I see it that way. How can you be black and not agree that America don't owe us some fucking money? And last week, I also read, 2 weeks in a row, I actually read specific instances where America gave Indians money. They gave victims of different atrocities money for America's involvement in said atrocity. That's happened. I had a list of like 45 occasions all the way up until now with this Ukraine shit. So don't tell me reparations can't happen when we will spend, and up till now, I think they've given Ukraine over $1 billion something just to kill shit. Because think about it. Of course, they're protecting their interests. I think Ukraine is a part of NATO or something like that. So everything is about alignment in protecting what your interest is. I don't think the United States really gives a shit about the Ukraine like that. It's just you're kind of scared of Russia, so you want to create your alliances. That's really where we at in American culture. You know what I mean? So for war, to help fund the war, because I went through what they're giving the money for, the $775 million. It's just war, family. It's just tanks, grenades, and things to blow shit up. That's all they're giving the money for. I'm like, damn, okay. So your idea, though, right, is you want to help people. You're helping them do something. How fucking dare you, man? When I can't drive around my city without seeing a homeless embankment. I can't cut on the news 2 or 3 times a week without seeing some type of injustice happen to somebody brown, right? So how dare you give white people outside of our country? Because we talk about Russia, Ukraine. I mean, fuck what you're talking about. This is white on white violence. You don't care about black on black violence. Shit. Wait a minute. So white folks just killing each other and y'all just pulling out the checkbook. Well, hey, man, go to my old neighborhood, man. You want to see some shit that need help? Look, I'm 42 years old now. If I go back to not one or two, all of the neighborhoods that were impoverished in my city of Sacramento when I was a kid, they're all still there. Every last one of them. None of them have been turned into a similar environment that's helpful for the inhabitants. No, they've gentrified some shit, got everybody out, moved some motherfuckers in, but just improving the area? No. Should there be this many homeless? Think logically. I come from a public school background. No books, a little bit of paper, no resources. So that's life in America. But you're giving white people billions of dollars to help fight a war? The fuck are we talking about? So can't nobody preach to me about voting for Biden or Trump, or because it's my opinion, just to be honest. Any president would have did the same thing. Every president that has held that position does what's best for that office, does what's best for the interests of the people in power of this country, never for the people. When you're Kennedy-esque, right? They made it clear. See, that's why I'm always telling black folks, look, I don't want to get into no violent shit with nobody. I don't think we're ready yet like that. But how about we start shaping our minds to I'm going to do whatever I need to fix the problem I have here, right? Because when we look at this country, we don't like using violence. We get shunned when violence happens and we're defending ourselves. However we use violence, right? But if we ever get to that point, just understand that's America's fault. America is about violence. Everything is about violence. When we have a problem with any of these other entities, how often are we just talking? How often are we just turning the other cheek? How often are we marching, right? When it's time for war, does America send its troops to go march? No. They send their troops to go kill up some shit. You see what I'm saying? So no am I saying we should be violent, but we should be open to preparing ourselves to defend ourselves in any type of situation. And whatever has to happen has to happen. But I don't know about you. I got grandkids. I don't want my grandkids to be 45 nervous that the cops pulling them over. So what are we gonna just continue to let this shit repeat itself? Something gonna have to change. You see what I'm saying? So let's get to it, family. Now, so America's giving Ukraine a whole shit ton of money. I'm gonna talk about this a little later in the week, but I just seen America also has some new plan. One of my homeboys reached out to me about some new deal that Biden just created. And it's funny because me and this particular homeboy, we go back and forth about politics, and I keep him on his toes, he keep me on my toes. Real good dude, right? But people, because of how I talk, people like to say, now, here, see, this is happening. See, this is going to help y'all. It's going to shut you up. You see what I'm saying? And Biden has this plan with all this miraculous shit for America in it. Nothing for black folks. I'll leave it at that until I talk about it a little bit next week. Now, next news story before we get to the topic. The topic for today's show, family, is a drama-free manhood. How does a young man have a drama-free manhood? Now, life is full of ups and downs. Drama is going to be there in different aspects. But how can you prevent it? Being a young black man coming from a particular area, how can you prevent the drama? Relationships, family, money. How can you prevent these type of downfalls, right? So we're going to get into that in a minute. One more thing I want to reach or touch on real quick before we get to that. Hold on one second. Ukraine. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, one other thing. When speaking about Ukraine, right, there was a Gallup poll conducted with America. This was recent. This was between April 1st and April 19th, right? America wants to allow 100,000 Ukraine refugees to enter America's soil, right? They did a Gallup poll with Americans from April 1st to April 19th. And 78% of Americans said it was okay to bring the Ukraine refugees into America. See, so for everybody who doesn't want to admit to themselves that the race problem, class of course as well, but the race problem in this country is the predominant factor in why a lot of the things we see happen. Like, people use race to make decisions, family. They're basically saying that 78% of Americans agree to have this 100,000 refugees from Ukraine. But when the Haitians was trying to get in here, y'all remember that, right? Y'all remember seeing the Haitians trying to walk up in this thing. What happened to them? Mexican immigrants. When we look at all these immigrant classes who trying to just walk into America, and this Gallup survey is saying they haven't seen polling this from the American public. This is the highest level of American public towards refugees since 1939. What do you realize what that's saying, family? So people in this country can talk about they not racist, they don't know nobody racist, but somebody is. Somebody see color around this motherfucker. If 78% of Americans agreed to let refugees from Ukraine come into this country, that's the highest since 1939, like I just mentioned. We've had all these incidents where black refugees needed to come, right? Not because their country was warring with somebody else black. Nah, they just needed their country's war torn based on white supremacy, just like the shit that happens here, and they can't come here. So when people mention to me that it's not about race, that's the predominant factor in a lot of these decisions. And just a lot of white folks ain't being honest with you, family. If they can admit it, they wouldn't want your black ass around. And that's just a fact. You feel me? So let's keep everything moving just real quickly. One last thing, as far as news stories is concerned, the Breonna Taylor case, some new developments happened a few weeks ago. Cops in that case are being charged and going to jail, but they're soft shoeing it. Like, they're losing their job. They get one dude, like we mentioned, got brought up on wanton endangerment charges. I didn't even know what that shit was. That was just based on the fact that he shot at them but hit a neighbor. So he's getting in trouble for shooting at the neighbor. The cop that I'm speaking about right now, his name